For you guys, it's yes. And it started to talk about death, but a guy, I just was talking, one of the great bass players in New York, a friend of mine who died a few years ago, we used to have a joke, because after Apple, I ended up writing a lot of jingles. It just happened, and I produced a lot of jingles. And when we would be doing jingles, the client, can you do this? It's basically, can you make it dark but also light? Can you have it be pepper but also salt? And the guys who are the studio musicians, it's always, yes, yes I can. There's no such thing as no. Can you make it sound like Led Zeppelin but also like acoustic guitar with two strings? Yes, of course, yes I can. So there's always yes to the gig, and then it's yes to whatever's entailed in the gig, and then you're left to the very difficult task going, how am I going to figure out how to make it dark but light, loud but soft? And that's when you test, I got the big body pants on now, because they will, no, it doesn't sound loud and soft and dark and light. You said you could do that. So you got to also know, like, I can pull this shit off. But yes, it's always, you know, it is. And there's a guy who's been, over the last 20 years, 25, really 20 years, the most successful pop producer in the world, named David Foster. And David Foster, if you look him up, you'll see, David Foster's sold a few 100 million records. And he's really was the next step from Quincy Jones and Phil Ramone. And David Foster started as a studio musician. And I remember when I met David Foster, we were managed by the same guy. And David, when we were talking about me turning, he said, I heard you turn down that gig and that gig. And he goes, as a studio musician, you learn, you don't turn down gigs. You don't double book yourself and then figure out, like, at the last minute where to send the sub. You know, figure out, oh, that's going to be a better gig. You don't, and it comes from a very different place. Where you do not turn down gigs. And his thing was from, like, so you don't turn down the money, but it is also, and Foster would be the first one to tell you, hey, one might be, you know, a gig where, wow, I really do need that training that I learned 15 years ago that I haven't used since. But man, I got to really use that thing that I learned here at San Francisco State. Wow, I haven't exercised that muscle for a while. I'm glad I did that gig. And you learn stuff that, and he's told me, yeah, I learned stuff on crap gigs that I then used, you know, when I'm making, you know, a record that sold 15 million records. So it always comes back. Your hard drive, you know, your head's a great hard drive. It doesn't run out of space. You always remember, especially getting your ass kicked, like on gigs that are really bad, because you go, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to learn from that mistake. So take all gigs. People want to be impressed. That, you know, they want to be told, hey, I'll do great for you. I'll kick ass. And you got to have your stuff together when you tell somebody. If they take you up and you're not kicking, yeah.
They talk.
They talk.
They talk.
So, I mean, look, and that's no different than anything else, in any other world.
They talk more in our business.
They do talk.
They do.
It's a small world. And so, but you ask and say, hey, I'm going to do this. I can do it. Let me do it. Like, you know, whatever equipment you got, I'll figure it out. And remember that knocking on 100 doors may get you one, may get you 0, may have to knock on another few hundred to get one. And that one may not bear fruit. Most people, look, most people don't have the wherewithal to be knocking on doors, whether it's real or virtual, day after day after day after freaking day. but that's part of it, you know. And you have to know, instead of looking for a network, you look for, okay, these people, this is a person, and they're doing the kind of work that I want to do, and so what's going to impress them? People who are going to hire you, people, if you're smart, if you come into me, I got you figured out in 25 seconds, frontwards and backwards, and most of the people that will hire you will be in the same position. You know, whether you go, well, I don't really know that technology, it's like, yeah, so what? You're smart. I figured out you're smart, and I'll teach you it, and then you'll kick ass on it really quickly. So it's concepts. It's the same thing with just in general the entertainment world. Content is king, not technology. Technology these days drives a lot of content, but the content is always king. So your ability to think, cognitive thinking, number one, flexibility. Each thing you have to learn and learn what you can do. The bottom line is when you are in a situation where you have a client and you're making money, you have to figure out, how am I going to serve this client's needs? It really comes down to that. You might want to go, okay, dude, there's no way you should be in this room trying to make music. That's what the cartoon bubble over your head is saying, like, beyond get me the hell out of here. But you go, this is a paying client. And my job is to service the client. How am I going to get through this and serve the client? You know, I mean, all kidding aside. So you've got things that are running concurrently that are, you know, at two opposite ends of the spectrum. But always, when you really get down to it, when you're going to be in a professional situation, how am I serving my client? You have to figure it out based on your own personality. You can't, if you're a quiet person, you know, you can't fake it and go, okay, I'm going to suddenly put my chest out there and be all bossy, because it's going to seem fake. And it's going to, if it's fake to you, it's going to seem fake to the client and everyone else. You got to be yourself and figure out how, with your own personality, you can make all that happen. When you're starting out, you're going to be working with crap. You are. You're going to be working with 90% of the people who go, I can't get out of this room quick enough so I don't have to listen to this just absolute crap. That's what it's all about in the beginning. And part of it is how you learn its people skills. It has nothing to do with this, but it has your people skills, and it's kind of part and parcel what I was saying about being flexible. It's, you know, look, it takes all sorts. I mean, some people you can just go, okay, look, dude, here's the deal. You're going to sit down, you're going to sit in that room, I'm going to plug you in, I'm going to make you sound great, and we're going to do this like 3 times, I'm going to edit the stuff together, and it's going to be great. You might be able to say that. Somebody else is going to be too skittish. You have to just learn, that's learning, and you learn from this point on. You've been learning those people skills since you were little kids, playing in the sandbox. It's no different. You know, it's like some people, you know, a guy, you can push him in the sandbox, he's going to push you back, and then you wrestle a little bit, and some people you're going to come in contact with in professional mode, you can do that. Other people, like, you go and touch them and they freak. Like, dude, no. You know, and you got to learn, like, okay, well, that person is going to be freaky to work with, but he's my client today. How am I going to get through this? And all those things teach you, whether you're successful in each day or not, they teach you, like, wow, when I smell somebody like that coming in, I know I'm not going to say this or that. And it's a learning process. You're going to thrive when you do things that have a very defined point of view. This is my shit. It doesn't sound like anybody's, it doesn't look like anybody's, and I'm letting it fly, and I'm letting it fly from the beginning, because you start overdubbing, recording other instruments on stuff that has no point of view, and that's not going to have a point of view. Commit, like, okay, that's the sound, that is the drum sound. Yeah, and it takes cojones to do that. It's much easier to go, yeah, I've got all these hundreds of tracks, you know, it could be this, it could be that, it could be a really tight sounding thing, or it could be ambient. Now, go with your gut. People want to know what all of your point of view is on any piece of art that you're working on. It's the single most important thing that I can tell you today, is go with your gut. Hey, it's not always going to be right, and people may go, you know, it kind of bites, but it's your thing. And it's much better than going, yeah, I'm leaving this, and maybe it could be, you know, this or that, or something else down the road. So that is the biggest thing. We commit. You have control now on your projects, and it's important. You go, okay, even if someone says, I want an MP3, and you can kind of look at it and go, yeah, MP3 is going to bite. It's going to be awful. So screw it. The guy wants an MP3, I'll send him a crappy MP3. But I'll tell you that there are a lot of ways to make MP3s. There are a lot of ways to make copies of digital mixes and things that are better than others. And it's inherent and it's incumbent upon all of you to watch your stuff. As long as it's in your control, you do everything you can to make sure it's as good as possible. Not only from a musical standpoint, but from a qualitative standpoint, the copies and everything. This is, no matter what angle you're going to be in, what you want to do, you're going to be in the entertainment business. So you're not going to be walking into job interviews, you know, in a classically stiff environment. You know, and your work environment, even if you're working in a corporation, it's not. You're still, there's a little leeway and loosey-goosey part of it, which is great. It's why I love working in it. Even when I was, you know, an officer at huge corporations. But take psych classes, take psychology classes, take an economics class. Definitely take an economics class. Maybe take a pre-law. Your question, yeah, look, I came from a different world. I came from you know, I'm a New York Jew, coming from a place where people were, you know, were born and bred to be CEOs. You know, he knows. I mean, I knew more about the business, you know, at 16, I was around the business, you know, so, but how you learn that if you're not, you know, you take classes, you read. Honestly, it's what each of you make of it. I don't know how many people are left in the room, but you will all have different experiences you will take away, not just every class, every day. What you take away, you make of it what you want. Mm-hmm. And that's wherever you are. And so I can't answer that question, but I can tell you that here in this school, in this building, if you can't take away stuff that gives you the foundation, building blocks to be able to be successful out there in the world, you weren't paying attention. Because the good thing about going to someplace like this opposed to going to, let's say, Expression or a place that's a trade school is you're getting a better rounded overview, not just of the specific areas, but of everything in general. You're around people that are interested in a whole lot of different things. That you don't know at this juncture how that's going to seep in and be important. can still look at, and you can still live wherever you want. You can, live in a tiny little community in the middle of Iowa and still be working, do work in San Francisco, do work in China, do it all over the world, because that is the technology that we have. So I think the fact is that no matter what work you're going to end up doing, in what area, you do look. I mean, look, it's almost, to me, it's almost impossible not to see that right in front of your eyes when you see, okay, who's on YouTube? Who's on this? Who's doing this? And you see people from all over the world. Go on the job sites for whether it's audio or video or graphics, and you see every continent, you see every country. And it doesn't matter. I mean, that is the beauty. You don't have to get on a plane. I mean, I love getting on a plane and working. And I love getting off and going, all right, I don't speak the language. I hope my interpreter doesn't have it in for me, because he could like screw me up really badly. But realistically, that is a gift that you guys have. It is a global world, it's a global economy, and looking for gigs all over the place.